And it's the final part of the discussion here. I just want to pick up on the reactions that came through from my panelists when electroconvulsive treatment was mentioned. A little bit of controversy there. Maybe I can ask the two of you, based on treatment, are you happy with the systems that are in place to treat people that have depression and mental health conditions?
I think
very briefly. Yeah.
Very briefly. We've actually come across it in the peer support groups. It's very controversial because one of the biggest side effects is memory loss. So you can forget actually where home is.
Right.
You can forget some parts of your history.
Okay.
You can forget people in your life.
So it can affect you more than it can help you.
And there are certain places in human rights where they say it amounts to some form of torture.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were saying, Sitawa, before you mentioned, you were also saying, Kanye, that mental, and I think you said that there's a politically correct way of saying this. What did you say it is?
Mental health condition.
Mental health condition, not mental illness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because just to destigmatize it.
To destigmatize it. You said it's a very expensive condition to treat.
Yes.
Tell us why, Sitawa.
Okay. Just as the way that the two doctors have talked, to do the first consultancy, you pay between, I think at least 3,000 shillings going up. Then maybe you're told you need drugs. I don't know about your medication, but drugs are not 2 shillings. And then you need to keep mixing the two. So you need to be constantly on medication and to be constantly doing the talk therapy.
Okay.
So the two...
It's very expensive.
Yeah.
Is this an issue, Dr. Mwiti, and how can that be curbed? Do you find that because of that, a lot of people hold back from coming forward and seeking the necessary treatment?
And definitely, and even those who come, Janet, drop off. 2-3 sessions when you need 10 or more sessions. It is an issue. And I've been giving this quite a lot of thought with a lot of sadness in my heart that we do not have facilities in this nation, especially for the common man.
Okay.
So actually we are coming up with a toll-free line because we started a call center 2 years ago and people have to pay. Now someone who wants to commit suicide because they're depressed, doesn't have a stash of money to pay you to say, hey, help me not kill myself, you know. So we are beginning a toll-free line where we do believe that you can, because on one side we have trained psychotherapists. I have like 15 psychologists ready to go. And so our hope is to bring up together enough resources under what we call the Let Them Live program.
Fantastic.
Live, not die, and live fruitful lives and, you know, free from depression. And we do hope we'll be able to have this call center with a toll-free line, and anybody anywhere in this nation can just dial a number, and at the other end there will be a free session, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions with a trained psychologist. So that's
we really hope that, we really hope that comes to be, would make a huge difference. As we wind up again, Kanye, you wanted to talk about how someone can deal with grief because of your own experiences.
Yeah, for me, I've lost 2 people in my immediate family, my dad and my brother. One of the things, as I was just telling you, I went through a very deep depression, especially I was okay. I mean, I went, after he died, I saw the body, we did all things, and I was more or less okay. After the burial, that's when now really people left, and then for about 3 months, I really dipped my depression. However, I found interesting ways of coping. I opened a Facebook page for my dad. I occasionally post there the things, you know, maybe I feel like I would want to tell him and stuff like that. Another very key way, actually, this is a work in progress. I actually saw a former counselor of mine, actually about 2 days ago. And, you know, we just had a regular chat about it. And it was suggested that all the members of the family actually have family therapy, and we're gonna set that up. He's gonna come home, and then, you know, we're gonna just find out how each of one is
check on everyone.
Yeah, so that's
which is essentially what society is supposed to be. And because we've lost our way, you find a lot of people are by themselves. Sitawa, coming to you quickly, you're an artist. We see you tweet a lot on blogging. Is that one way that you cope with it?
Yes, writing therapy. And you also saw the future, Susan Kettel says she writes. She writes. So that helps a lot. Sometimes, especially because now I have bipolar, so you have your manic and you have your depressive. And when you're depressed and you just write and write, sometimes you write yourself out of it. So you have all these feelings of worthlessness and stuff, and you just write yourself into a very brilliant idea, and your juices go up.
Sorry, we're so pressed for time. Doctor, an interesting question has come in, and maybe it was answered, maybe it wasn't, may even seem obvious. There's a lady who's saying she's expecting, she feels like she's battled with depression, she's scared that it's going to be passed on to her unborn child. What is the likelihood of that? What happens?
Well, if there is depression in the family, in the lineage, there is a likelihood. But then she should not live in fear, because not everyone in a particular family gets depression because the parents had a genetic, preconditioning.
But yet you'll find that come online. You'll find that if the mom and dad have it, then the children have it.
Yes.
So how do you explain that? Is it because they're surrounded by that energy and it seeps in, or how does it work?
It's both ways. It's both ways, because actually depression is contagious. Many of the children with depression may be having a depressive mother. And one of the ways to treat depression is prevent it in the first place from passing on. So the arguments, whether it is actually genetic or it's a learned condition, but whichever it is working as best as possible to cope. Because the children around us will pick vibes from us. If you are depressed, they will be. If we live lives that are full of joy and whatever, they also pick that.
Very quickly, combination clusters, what are they?
Combination clusters is, remember that the human being is a system. There's the mental, the poor concentration, too much sleeping, there's a behavioral, social withdrawal, the physical, ulcers and loss of appetite, increase in weight, the spiritual, loss of hope and hopelessness. So there is that system. The human being is mental, spiritual, physical. So depression affects the whole system.
Very quickly, we're winding up now. Your final words, Sitawa. Though it doesn't end when you have depression. Words of encouragement to someone who may be struggling with those feelings. What would you want to say to them?
I want to talk to not the person, but not the the people around them. So I'm doing something called Hug Sitawa, and it's as simple as that. It's just giving people a hug. Is when I ask you, Janet, how are you doing? It's not that when I'm asking you and I'm busy doing something else, but I really need, I sit down and listen to how you really doing, because we lack that in society right now. So with Hug Sitawa, I share my story, and I give people a hug, and I tell them, if you meet someone who's depressed or going through something bad, when I hold Kanye's hand like that, it sends vibes to him. So I don't know what he's going through, but he knows Sitawa is with me. So that's what I'm telling Kenyans.
A lot of positive energy. I love it. Kanye, what about you?
For me, I think I'll summarize it in an acronym called CARE. Compassion, advocacy, which is what we're doing, exercising some responsibility, and continuously engaging in education. It is possible to recover. It is possible to have a productive life, just like with other persons in society. Yes, and I think if you can understand the relationship between your thoughts, your feelings, you can change your behavior.
All right. There's so much more that we could have discussed. Perhaps people, you have a Twitter handle, perhaps if you want people to ask you questions.
Yes, Sitawa Wafula.
That's okay. And you,
mine is at Black4G or at USP Kenya.
At USP Kenya.
USP Kenya.
At USP Kenya and at Sitawa Wafula. So if people want to engage with you and maybe ask you, I think feel free to share with them on social media. Dr. Gladys Muti, thank you so much as always for shedding light. I think this is the beginning of this discussion and how much further it can go. We thank you all so much for taking time to come here. In just a few minutes, I'll be